The story behind Black Sabbath's iconic Paranoid.
It's one of the most recognizable riffs in rock history, the anthem that helped define a genre. But to the band that wrote it, it was a joke, a throwaway filler track, cooked up in a hurry because their album was 3 minutes too short. This is the story of how Black Sabbath accidentally created a masterpiece they didn't even want, Paranoid.
The pressure cooker.
The year is 1970. The optimism of the 1960s is fading fast, replaced by the grim realities of the Vietnam War and the Cold War. And bubbling up from the industrial heart of Birmingham, England, a new sound is emerging, dark, heavy, and a world away from the psychedelic rock dominating the airwaves. That sound belonged to Black Sabbath. Fresh off the success of their self-titled debut album, which had reached number 23 on the US Billboard chart, the band was under immense pressure. Their label, Vertigo Records, wanted a follow-up, and they wanted it fast. Just 4 months after their first album dropped, Sabbath, Ozzy Osbourne, Tony Iommi, Geezer Butler, and Bill Ward was back in the studio. These guys were a relentlessly hard-working band, forged in the tough, working-class streets of Aston. Rehearsing daily and gigging almost every night, they were haunted by the fear of returning to the factory jobs they'd just escaped. This intense work ethic meant they had a ton of material. They entered Regent Sound and Island Studios in London with a powerful set of songs that reflected the darkness of the times. The centerpiece was a sprawling, epic anti-war track. Butler had originally called it Walpurgis, a nod to a European festival associated with witches, as he viewed warmongers as the world's real Satanists. The record company found the name a bit too satanic for comfort, so Geezer changed it to the more direct and just as provocative War Pigs. This was the song they believed would define the new record. War Pigs was going to be the title of their second album.
The empty space.
The recording sessions in June of 1970 were brutally efficient, taking place over just 3 days. The band captured most of the tracks live in the studio, bottling the raw, thunderous energy of their stage show. In what felt like no time, the album was essentially finished. It was a monster, packed with the sludgy, doom-laden riffs that were fast becoming their signature. But there was one problem. Producer Roger Bain, who had also helmed their debut, did the math. The album was too short. He needed one more song, something quick, around 3 minutes, just to fill the remaining space on the vinyl. The band was exhausted. They felt they had poured everything into tracks like War Pigs and Iron Man and had nothing left in the tank. According to band law, when Bain asked for one more, Tony Iommi's reaction was simple. Well, no. The other members, Ozzy, Geezer, and Bill, decided to head out for a lunch break, leaving a frustrated Iommi alone in the studio.
The riff from nowhere.
Left to his own devices, Tony Iommi, the man whose industrial accident famously forged a new way of playing guitar, picked up his Gibson SG. Sabbath wasn't known for short, poppy songs. Their compositions were long, complex journeys. But facing the producer's demand, something new came out. In a sudden burst of inspiration, he started playing a frantic, driving, chugging riff. It was fast, simple, and absolutely electrifying. He didn't think much of it, just a quick idea to get the producer off his back. When the rest of the band returned, Iommi played them the riff. Geezer Butler and Bill Ward immediately locked in, creating a relentless, pounding rhythm behind it. The music was there, born in a matter of minutes. Still, the band considered it a laugh. Butler was even against putting it on the album, thinking it sounded too much like Led Zeppelin's Communication Breakdown. It was just a piece of filler, something they hammered out to get the job done and go home.
The mind of Geezer.
With the music in place, the song needed words, and fast. As the band jammed on the new riff, Geezer Butler, their primary lyricist, scrambled to write something down. This time, he didn't look to fantasy or the occult. He looked inward. For years, Butler had been quietly struggling with bouts of deep depression, a condition that was poorly understood and heavily stigmatized at the time. Unless you've experienced true depression, you can't describe it, he later explained. It's like you're going to this awful black hole. Fearing he'd be institutionalized if he sought help, writing became his only outlet. He channeled that raw feeling of isolation, anxiety, and despair directly onto the page. The lyrics poured out. Finished with my woman, 'cause she couldn't help me with my mind. Can you help me occupy my brain? He later admitted he didn't really know the difference between depression and paranoia. The name paranoid just seemed to fit the anxious feeling, which he often associated with smoking pot at the time. According to one of rock's greatest stories, the process was so fast that there was no time for Ozzy to learn the lyrics. As the tape rolled, Geezer handed him the piece of paper and Ozzy read the words as he sang them for the very first time. This spontaneous delivery gave the vocals a raw, desperate, and incredibly authentic quality. The entire song, from riff to final recording, was finished in just a few hours.
The label's reaction.
The band played the finished track for Roger Bain and the record company execs, still thinking of it as a disposable filler track, but the label heard something else entirely. They didn't hear filler, they heard a hit single. The record company's reaction was immediate. They loved the song's short, punchy structure and its undeniable energy. It was catchy and perfect for radio, something Black Sabbath had never been. Their decision would change the band's destiny. First, they announced this filler track would be the album's lead single. Second, and more shockingly for the band, they changed the album's title. The label was worried that calling the album War Pigs would cause a political backlash, especially in America, with the Vietnam War still raging. Paranoid was safer, and it capitalized on the new single's strength. The band was stunned and annoyed. The album's cover art, a strange pig-like figure with a sword, had already been created for an album called War Pigs. Ozzy would later complain, what the fuck does a bloke dressed as a pig with a sword in his hand got to do with being paranoid? I don't know. But the decision was made. The throwaway song was now the flagship for their entire album.
The unwanted hit.
Released in August 1970, the Paranoid single was an explosive, unexpected success. It shot to number 4 on the UK singles chart and even cracked the Billboard Hot 100 in the US, reaching number 61. For a band that prided itself on making heavy, album-focused rock, having a pop hit was a strange and uncomfortable experience. As Tony Iommi later recalled, the single attracted a whole new audience. Suddenly, screaming kids were showing up at their concerts. They found themselves on the British TV show Top of the Pops, a world away from the dark, sweaty clubs they were used to. This created a bizarre disconnect. Fans who came to see the band that made the catchy hit Paranoid were often shocked when they were blasted with the apocalyptic sludge of Iron Man and the 7-minute epic War Pigs. The band even considered stopping singles altogether to stay true to their original fan base. The song also attracted controversy. A persistent mishearing of the line, "I tell you to enjoy life," led some to believe the band was promoting suicide, hearing it as, "I tell you to end your life." This, along with their dark imagery, fueled a media narrative that painted them as a dangerous influence, a charge the band has always denied.
Conclusion.
Despite the band's own mixed feelings, Paranoid cemented Black Sabbath's legacy. The song, written in a few hours out of pure necessity, became their most famous and enduring anthem. It broke down barriers, proving that heavy music could have mainstream appeal. Its fast-paced, riff-centric structure is now seen as a foundational blueprint for genres like punk and thrash metal. The album Paranoid would go on to top the UK charts and, with its RIAA 4x platinum certification, sell over 4 million units in the US alone. It's widely regarded as one of the greatest and most influential heavy metal albums of all time, and it was all spearheaded by a song they never intended to write, a song they didn't even particularly like. It's the ultimate rock and roll irony. A moment of studio pressure, a frantic lunch break, and a flash of accidental genius combined to create not just a hit song, but a defining moment in music history. A throwaway track that became an immortal anthem.
What's your favorite Black Sabbath riff? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, make sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into rock history. Thanks for watching.